Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is that you're watching this. My name is Amanda Ellis. I am an intuitive, a colour therapist, a spiritual teacher, and a channel for the celestial realms. What this video is about, because I suspect that some people might watch this over the next year or couple of years, is a video intended to help people that are waking up to their path. And I'm calling it Waking Up to Their Path because some of you may be moving away from maybe more traditional forms of religion. You don't have to, though. There are many people that are on the path that I'm going to be talking about that still have a foothold in traditional religion. There is nothing wrong with that at all. There is room at the table for everybody, of any denomination, of any religious persuasion, whether you still practice or whether you left that a long time ago. The new path of spirituality is based on developing an inner connection with your own divinity. In a nutshell, that's what it is. And I suspect that if you are new to this path and you've started to maybe become interested in the angels, in healing, in self-development, any of what is called the New Age, and I hate the term New Age, I always say that because it's not the New Age. Most of what we bring through in terms of teachings, in terms of modalities, are practices that took practices and energies that were used in many previous lifetimes. Colour therapy dates back to ancient Egypt and the times of Atlantis. Crystals have been here since, the world began. And although the way that the teaching may be presented can be new, and you may particularly resonate with one particular teacher or therapist, and indeed there is new information, of course, that comes through, the bedrock of effectively what we believe has stood the test of time. So it's not new. What's new is the fact that more and more people are waking up to their own powers of divinity within, as well as being able to empower themselves and free themselves from the shackles of a lot of dogma that has existed for millennia. So what this video is going to do is answer some of the questions that have come in from some of you, both on my YouTube page and my Facebook page, which is called Angelic Celestial Colours. Okay, not Amanda Ellis, it's called Angelic Celestial Colours. I'll put the link below. And I'm just going to dive straight into this subject. Before I do so, though, I will just say that I'm doing this also very much on the promptings of Archangel Metatron, who is my main guide that I work with, although I work with all of the angelic realm and indeed the celestial realms. I'm a channel and I'm an intuitive for that energy. And I've really been prompted to come on and do this at the cusp of 2020 because many people are starting to wake up, okay? And many are confused, as we all were when we started our path, whether that was last year, 10 years ago, or longer. Now, I'm just going to show you a card here that Metatron is drawing to my attention, which is the Wake Up Call card. Okay, the Wake Up Call card. Now, this shows Archangel Metatron sort of sounding a wake-up call through a conch shell, actually. And what this is about is the fact that many of you may have had some form of wake-up call to get onto this path. Sometimes the wake-up call can be quite gentle, and sometimes it can be a little bit more tough. Sometimes, and it depends what the soul needs at any particular juncture. But you may very well have had some form of wake-up call. Interestingly, on the bottom of the deck as well, I've got the card of signs. Okay, the card of signs seems to come with the wake-up call energy. And signs may very well be that you have been seeing numbers. You know, you might have been seeing repeating numbers such as 1111, which is very linked into Metatron, 111111. I constantly at the moment see 555, 55, 55, 505. I can guarantee that I see fives every single day, whether that be on the clock on the wall, looking at my watch, looking at some sort of digital image, whether it be the boiler, whether it be the cooker hood. You know, I just get flashes of 555 the whole time. Now, there's a whole wealth of information out there in terms of what the individual numbers mean. Very, very easy to find the information. Just Google it. You'll come up with it straight away. And I don't want to talk about that subject particularly in this video. I'm just saying that numbers are a particular sign that often people get when they're waking up, and it starts to cause confusion. It's like, why the hell am I always seeing 222, 444, 333, 111, 555? The list goes on. It may be that, or it may be other signs that you're starting to get. Maybe you are hearing songs, you know, particular songs on repeat, which have a particular message in them. Maybe you're starting to see feathers. White feathers are often a sign that the angels are around. But signs from spirit, things that you can't explain away, basically, with the rational mind. And we live in a world, basically, which historically has really wanted to explain everything with the rational mind. And if it doesn't have a rational explanation, we will try and push it underground. And what's happening now is that more and more is starting to happen, that people just can't, there is no rational explanation for it. So we start to delve into what's going on. What does this all mean? Why am I sensing spirit? Why am I getting these signs? What does it all mean? And it often will come in either before a wake-up call, during a wake-up call, or after a wake-up call. Wake-up calls can take many sizes, many shapes, many forms. As I say, sometimes they can be very challenging. A rug can be pulled from underneath you, whether it be a job, a relationship, something that you've always relied on, where you feel temporarily quite anchorless. Okay, there's no anchor for you to, it's not the traditional support that you're used to having. And so you look around you at this new world without the job, without the relationship, without whatever has been taken away, and you start to try and make sense of it all. Know that Spirit and the angels are around you both before, during, and after any wake-up call. And it's not being done to you to hurt you for the sake of hurting you. It's being done at a very deep soul level reason, sometimes to try to wake us up to higher truths, including the higher truth which is within yourself. That actually you are much more powerful, you are much stronger than you realise, okay? So let's dive into some questions here and let's just get into it, okay? That's my dog, obviously, barking in the background. She'll settle down. I'm actually going to light some incense. I like to light incense because I personally just find, firstly, it helps to sort of clear the energy in a room and around a person, around a video. I also love the scent, but it's a very good way to help connect you to a higher vibration, okay? So let's just have that incense burning, which is nice. And I'm going to read a question out. So this one's come in from Samantha Gregory, and Samantha, you say, looking forward to watching your video. I feel the pull towards this path so very strong, and it's hard to ignore. I need to know whether this is the right path for me to follow. Now, I did just reply very briefly on my Facebook page, and I'm now going to expand on it. So she's basically saying she feels the pull towards the path, very strong, very hard to ignore, but is it the right path for me? Is it the right path for me to follow? And I basically said in response to that, Samantha, the most important thing is that no one can tell you whether it is the right path. It is about following your heart, your gut, and your instincts, and to never let anyone tell you what you should think or feel. That's the crux of all of it. It's self-empowerment, and the angels and God lead us to that. So let me say that one of the big red flags for me with spirituality is that when anybody tells you what you should think or what you should feel or what is the definitive answer on anything, absolutely anything. Because I believe that the truth is often multifaceted, is the first thing to say. Metatron is showing me a mirror and a diamond, and there are many different reflections of anything. So I personally struggle with any teacher out there or any therapist, however high standing they are, however big their profile is, if they come on and they say this is the way that it is. That energy doesn't resonate with me at all, because I believe that this path is very much one about learning. It's about learning many things, but discernment is a big part of it. Learning discernment. What feels right for me? What feels right for me? What feels as though, does this resonate or does it not? And the main thing is that if something doesn't resonate, let it go. You don't need to put energy into something that doesn't resonate. Just take what feels right and leave what doesn't. Because you are a unique expression of God, as I am. And so therefore my expression of godliness is going to be slightly different from your expression of godliness. And what I necessarily am going to particularly align with and resonate with isn't always going to be what you necessarily need or align with or resonate with either. And the biggest thing that we're moving away from is this whole energy of should, that you should do something, that you should believe this, and sort of putting beliefs into a very small, narrow little box with a lid on, which we open up, we take it out, we're told what it is that we are meant to believe, and then we're satisfied with that, well, probably not really, and then we go about our day. This is very much about you are given the box, you take off the lid, and you look at what's inside, some of it which might be satisfying, some of which might not, and then you start adding to the box, okay? You start adding to the box. A few years ago, I used to go and see this lady for crystal healing, and she had an amazing room, a therapy room, and in her room, probably very much like my space here, would be pictures of angels. She had a picture of Christ. She had, as I've got here sitting on my desk, a little Buddha, okay? She had maybe things linked into Hinduism, statues here, there, and everywhere. And it always made me laugh because she said to me, a man came in once for a healing, and he said, "Oh, you're covering your bets, aren't you?" Almost as though he felt that what she was doing was trying to take a bit from here, take a bit from there, just in case one of them was wrong. And it always made me smile because, of course, that isn't what she was doing. She was starting to recognise the fact that many different belief systems around our world. Ultimately, I really believe that we're all basically praying to the same God, I really believe that. Whether you call it organised religion, whether you call it spirituality or anything else, there is just one God. If you don't like the word God, call it source, but it's just one, it's the creator. And so therefore the creator has manifested all these beautiful belief systems out there, and there is good in all of them, basically. So if I want to have my beautiful fluorite Buddha sitting on my desk to inspire me every day, I'm going to do that, And actually he sat for a few years and I love him. He's just, he's so peaceful And he just reminds me about striving for a contented life, you know, and also that, you know, to be satisfied with what we've got. He's got a full belly here. But I've also got, you know, I've also got the other side of my desk. I'll just show you. I've also got a star being head. Okay, I've got these little star being heads linked into the galactic energy. I'm surrounded by angelic pictures. I've also got my crystals. I've got the Bible sitting down there. Okay, I've got the energy of Christ around me. It's just indicative of the fact that my path has been very much about exploration, and I believe that this is what the path is. It's about exploring what interests me, what excites me, what do I wish to learn, what can I take from there, what doesn't resonate, and no, that's not for me. And that's all part of it as well. So never let anybody tell you what you should do. Okay, that's the biggie for me. Teresa Longbell asks a question, and she says, as a newly awakened person, how do you know that you're really listening and heading on the right path? My response to that, Teresa, is really simple. It's about following the path of joy, okay? I'm being shown the yellow brick road here, you know, the Wizard of Oz type energy. And on the yellow brick road, of course, it was all about finding the heart, wasn't it? It was about bringing the heart energy back, finding our courage, our solar plexus, also linking into the brain. You know, the spiritual path isn't just about only following the heart. It's very important that the mind and the heart are linked and are working together in a loop, okay? But yeah, how do you know that you're heading on the right path? Does it feel right? Does it bring a feeling of peace? Does it bring you joy? If it doesn't, then maybe there's something there that needs to be questioned. That's not the same as having problems along the path, okay? There is this feeling sometimes that once you're awakened and you're on the ascension path, that somehow everything has to be hunky-dory. And one of your questions that came in on YouTube, and I will just read it out here, assuming I can find it quickly, because I did respond to it. Yeah, here we go. Naked Lady Mandalas, you say, I guess I'm questioning the path altogether. I have followed you for 2.5 years, and I am now to this point that I'm beginning to believe that none of this awakening actually exists. I've lost my hope and my faith over here, and I'm not quite sure I can get it back. And my response to that was along the lines of, what are you actually expecting from the path? What are you expecting from ascension? And what I say there is that really this path is about a deepening connection to self and to divinity within. But it is a really good question. And maybe it's linked into the way that ascension and awakening is sold. And I hate to use that word sold, but unfortunately, there is an energy of that is out there, particularly on social media, that sometimes over-promises what is on the other side of a particular gateway. What is on the other side of a particular gateway, and today is, or tomorrow will be 12/12 when this particularly lands in YouTube land, is more a path, okay? It isn't the finished article, it's not the finished thing. It's not meant to be paradise. Although let me paraphrase that, because I do believe heaven and earth are one. You can have heaven on earth. But the thing is, even within heaven, even within the Garden of Eden, you know, there was temptation. So the most important thing about being on the path is realizing, and it sounds a cliche, but it is the truth, it's a journey. It's a journey that is not necessarily, it's not at all actually about the destination. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And the journey is going to have all sorts of twists and turns, challenges, blocks, problems, but also amazing amounts of happiness and joy. The thing about when you're on the path and how do you know you're on the right one is we get into the energy of flow, okay? Flow is a big subject in itself. When you are in flow, even when you have issues and problems, like we all have, we've all got issues and problems, you can find a way around them, okay? Even if it's a day-to-day moving around the problem or the elephant in the room that's quite stubborn and still there, okay? You're able to find a way around them, or you're able to rise above them, you know? And it is a practice. It is something that you have to practice. It is something that you have to keep going back to day after day. The Oracle deck that I created, the Metatron deck, there's a card in there, and I'll just get it out, which is linked into boundaries. I talk about boundaries so much on my channel. But the thing about setting boundaries, which is a spiritual practice, is that Metatron says you've got to do it every day. It's not just about, you know, I've got this problem, I've got this block, maybe I'm overdoing, or this person's demanding too much of my time, or my time is scattered, my energy is scattered. Let's just sort it, and then I'm moving over that block. The reality is you're going to have to be setting your boundaries every day to take into account changing circumstances, changing temperature, maybe around the problem or the challenge that you face. But it is very much about practice. You know, I'm also hearing now the Buddhist energy of, you know, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. It's about discovering all that you can upon the journey, bringing to you those who have a similar vibration, maybe letting go of those that don't necessarily resonate so strongly. I'm not necessarily talking family members there, I'm talking about acquaintances, people that don't have to be in your life. Also this thing, Teresa, about how do I know that I'm heading on the right path? I want to go back to this card, signs. You will be given signs, okay? Once you are awakened, okay, so say it's Archangel Metatron that's awakened you. He's led you to this video. He's led you to my work. You can look back at all of my videos. You can start to learn. You can look at other people's material. You can read books. You can meditate. You can do your daily practice. But ultimately, the angels also, they're not going to abandon you once you are awakened. They will give you signs, okay? They will give you signs. But again, you have to be open to hear those signs, to see those signs, and also very much to accept those signs and say thank you when they do arrive. Because so often, you know, we will ask for a sign, we will pray for a sign, and then the sign comes, but it's not in the way that we expect it to be. So we just dismiss it, or we ask for another one. Okay, so it's very important when you get the sign that you say thank you. And I will give you an example. I shared this on my Facebook page yesterday. I'm not going to talk too much about my own particular story in this video. I think I'll do it in a separate video just to keep it clean here in terms of the content material. It's getting worse. I just mean I want to keep focus. Yesterday, talking signs, okay? I'm in the shower in the morning. I'm always half asleep. I'm not a morning person. I need a shower to wake myself up. I also need coffee. The shower is very much about me standing underneath the hot water, trying to wake myself up, and also thinking about what I've got to do during the day. Well, one of the things I knew I was going to be doing this week was I knew I was going to be making this video. So in my head, not even aloud, in my head, I'm just thinking about, okay, shall I talk about this? Shall I talk about that? And I think, okay, shall I talk a little bit about my awakening, my path? And at that moment, the clothes horse, you know, one of those clothes horses, which has been propped up in the bath for a week, to be honest, completely sturdy, you know, it's only got one thing on it. It literally catapults itself across the bathroom and lands on the floor. The sound is horrendous. Remember, I'm underneath the water, I'm in the shower, and I'm thinking, my God, what the hell was that? But as soon as I saw the fallen clothes horse, I thought to myself, what have you just been thinking? What were you just thinking in that moment, Amanda? And I took myself back and I realised I was just thinking, about what I was going to be talking about in the video. And to me, that was a sign that they were saying, say it, do it, okay? So that was a sign for me, you know, yesterday. But equally, I could just have dismissed it and thought, you know, well, I don't actually, to be honest, that was one of those signs that you couldn't have rationally tried to explain away because there was no breeze, there was nobody else in the bathroom, you know, it didn't topple over because of weight of clothes on it. Something pushed it over. And I knew damn well what was pushing it over was Metatron saying, yep, get online and start talking about this subject. This will probably be a series of a couple of videos I do, including my own video linked into my own awakening process. I will just say at this point, I don't want to go too much about me in this, but I will say that my awakening process wasn't necessarily one of those things where it's like, you know, a lightning bolt and suddenly I'm awake. I feel that for me it was more gradual. I think in many ways I have always been awake, to be honest. Even as a little girl, I was pretty awake. Although there were a lot of dormant seeds within that needed to be stirred by certain events in my life, including difficult events, okay? But essentially I look back and yes, there are things that have happened along the way, but there was no sort of Damascus moment, as I call it, you know, Saul who turns into Paul, you know, the lightning flash that comes in from the sky and then suddenly, oh my God. No, it was more gradual for me. So please also realise, for those of you watching this, that the wake-up call, it doesn't have to come in like in this form, in terms of it's dramatic. It's like one day I'm asleep, the next day I'm awake. For many of us, it's like we've been sort of, he's showing me the shower scene again, because he's saying it's like you have been awake, but it's like you've been a bit sleepy. So it's like we've been rubbing the sleepy dust from your eye, you know, and like pushing you more and more out there. But I'll talk about that another day. I want to go to a really good question here. This is from Mary Robbins, and I'm just going to read the question. It says, here are some questions that I have about awakening. First, how do I respond about Archangel Metatron when someone dismisses him because he wasn't mentioned in the Bible? What suggestions do you and Metatron have for connecting with one's guides? And then she goes, is there a crystal or colour that you connect with Metatron? Okay, there's a few different questions in there, but there's also a few other comments from people who are saying about struggling with family and friends and their reaction to coming out of the closet. So let's take one at a time. Let's go. Firstly, I want to talk, let's just nail this about Archangel Metatron in the Bible. The truth is that Metatron was written out of the Bible, okay? And you might think, oh my God, but there are many, many things that are not in the, particularly the New Testament, that could have been. There are lost gospels of some other disciples. There is, of course, the lost gospels of, or certainly, gospel is a whole word in itself, which has connotations. I'm just going to say writing. Somebody's tickling my nose. Stop. And it's Mary Magdalene. Okay, it's Mary Magdalene that's tickling my nose. Sorry, because Mary Magdalene is another example of somebody who was, she wasn't written out of the Gospels, but she was so much more than what the Bible says she was, okay? She was an amazing spiritual teacher in her own right. You know, she anyway, let's not go too much into that. I'm deviating off plot. Let's just talk about Metatron. Metatron was written out of the Bible. He exists in many Jewish ancient scripts. There is also, of course, the book of Enoch. Metatron was supposed to have been Enoch. And I have actually got something here. Let me just get this. This was actually something that I put in my teacher's manual. People that teach my work. I'm just going to read this out. So, where is this from? This is from Enoch 3, okay? And this is, I believe, a description of Metatron, okay? By reason of the love with which the Holy One, blessed be he, loved me more than all the children of heaven, he made me a garment of glory on which were fixed all kinds of lights, and he clad me in it. And he made me a robe of honour on which were fixed all kinds of beauty, splendour, brilliance and majesty. And he made me a royal crown in which there were fixed 49 costly stones, like unto the light of the globe of the sun. See, he's holding the sun. For its splendour went forth in the four quarters of the Araboth Rakia, and in through the seven heavens, and in the four quarters of the world. And he put it on my head, and he called me the Lesser Yahweh, in the presence of all his heavenly household, as it is written, for my name is in him, Lesser Yahweh, Yahweh being the name of God itself. Metatron is referred to as the Lesser Yahweh. Metatron is there if you look for it, okay? But the thing is, I wouldn't be suggesting that anybody quotes that at any family member when you're asked, you know, oi, where is Metatron in the Bible? There's also passages in Revelations which I personally believe link into Metatron. But this is the nub. It comes back to when we feel as though we need to justify our belief, when we need to justify what it is that we believe. This is such a huge subject in itself, and I'm very aware that I could take up the whole video with this. So I'm just going to call in Metatron and ask him what is the most pertinent thing that I can say at this particular juncture for people that are just waking up. Okay, what he's saying to me is, where we're stumbling, guys, is trying to explain a consciousness such as Metatron to somebody who has a closed mind, closed eyes, closed heart to some degree, because they are only interested in what's in the box. Remember the box I was saying at the beginning? And the box has been given to them by somebody else. What's in the box isn't their choice. It's what's been given to them. It's what they've been told to look at, okay? And because it's not in there, it's not valid. So how can you then present something outside of the box, Metatron, for example, to somebody that isn't fully awake and isn't even prepared to look outside of it? I personally, what am I recommending for you to do? I have never, ever, in a social situation, for example, even in my family, you know, my family situation, here I'm talking, you know, my father, aunts, uncles, people like that, who aren't necessarily as into this stuff as I am. I have never, ever attempted to have to sit down and try and justify what I believe. I believe that those people that truly love you and are meant to be with you in this journey through life should love you to a degree where, even though they don't necessarily understand what you might believe, because it's not their reality, they allow you the space to believe what you want to believe. If today I sit here and I suddenly start to go into panic mode about, oh, what are people going to say about, you know, this video that I'm putting out, and I'm talking about Metatron, and what are people going to say? Oh gosh, you know, and I might go out into my street and meet my neighbour and they ask me how my day's gone. I better not say anything about my work or what I do or what I believe. You know, hide the pictures of the angels when they come round. If I have that very front of mind in my consciousness, I'm going to pull in a load of negativity if I want to. I'm going to pull in a load of criticism. You know, you don't believe in that, do you? For me, it's about being very firm. Sorry, it's absolutely pouring with rain as I'm saying this. It's like Metatron's trying to flush through and cleanse this energy of fear that we hold when we get onto our awakening path, which is, what are people going to think? How am I going to explain what I believe? Okay, what are people going to think? It's all very fear-based, and I completely and utterly get it. I've been there and I've worn the t-shirt, and what I can say to you with 100% conviction is that if you can rise above that and stand in your power and your belief, and also let go of the need for other people to get it, the energy of confrontation starts to fade away. I mean, obviously, if you're in a relationship that is terribly toxic, terribly controlling, okay, and you're with, for example, a partner who won't allow you to, I don't know, even go out on your own. And I don't have a relationship like that, but I know of relationships like that where the partner is terribly controlling. And so into that may come trying to control also your beliefs, not just about what you do. Well, the problem is much bigger than how do I talk about angels? It's about, should I actually even be with that person? Okay. So I'm talking here about just general life in terms of going out there and being able to hold the energy that this is what I believe and it's okay. Why would it not be okay? As soon as I start to bring into my consciousness it's not okay and people are going to judge me, people are going to judge you. I truly do not have in my energy field any longer any worry about what people think. And I think that's why that pouring rain came down at that moment. It was Metatron's way of saying, let's just flush this out, shall we? Going into 2020, it's about standing in our own power and our own light and our own belief. And I think also sometimes the biggest thing about it all is that when you're fearing other people's reaction, it's because you, at some level, at some very deep subconscious level that you might not even be aware of, you want them to get it. You want them to sort of be with you. Why? Why? They're their own person. They've got their own belief system. What you believe might not be right for them, and that is okay. So it's also about letting go of control, okay? It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It's about what I believe. This is my path. And believe you me, there will be many people that meet you on the path that share those same beliefs. There's other questions that come through. I mean, here we got Julianne Coy. One thing I struggle with is the idea of coming out of the spiritual closet, coming clean to family and friends about your ability to channel and speak to angels and guides if you're willing. Okay, well, one thing there, I will just say, the way that you phrase that, I'm not criticising you, it's a great question, but it's like you're saying coming clean. It's as though there's some dirty little secret. Think about what's just been said there. One thing I struggle with is the idea of coming out of the spiritual closet, coming clean to family and friends. This isn't a dirty little secret. This is the most amazing gift that you're given via your awakening. You know, and if you view yourself, what I'm being shown by Metatron is a row of seeds, okay? A row of seeds in a field, okay? In fact, he's showing, there's a card here. Hold on. He likes to use the cards, you see, to illustrate the point. Where's the card? He's showing me this row of seeds. It's the Earth card is what I'm searching for, those of you that have got the cards. Can't find it now. There we go. He's showing me these rows of seeds. Now the thing is, this could be you and all your family and your friends, okay? Now you might be this one that for some reason suddenly starts to shoot up and awaken more than all of the others, okay? Starts to poke your head out of the earth, out of the ground, and start to really want to explore, you know, who you are, the spiritual path, everything, all the mysteries of the world, esoteric information, but yet everybody else in the row wants to just stay, what Metatron is saying, like a dwarf flower. Metatron has humour. Thank God for humour, okay? Everyone else wants just stay small, basically. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. But you want to be the biggest flower in the whole field, okay? You want to show that. Allow the other people just to be what they want to be, okay? But allow yourself to grow above them. I'm just trying to think about when I came out of the spiritual closet. I do understand, because I had a business career before this. I mean, I'm still in business now, but, you know, I had a business career. I was in marketing. I was quite successful at what I did. I had the company car, the big salary, and was successful in what I did. But it wasn't satisfying me anymore. And then I had my children and I couldn't cope with the travelling in particular I had to do a lot of travelling with my work, when they were little babies. So I looked for something else. And I went to a talk on colour therapy. And that was, in many ways, that was one of the awakening moments for me, because that talk sparked an interest that lives to this day, which is colour. But the point was that I then left the corporate job, and there were people in particularly my immediate family, who didn't get it. They didn't understand what I was doing. I was leaving a very lucrative profession. I was also letting go of a status, the successful businesswoman with the car, with the status, with the business card. Certainly my dad was very proud of that. His daughter did this and all that type of stuff. And then it's like, no, I'm going to be doing angel readings, and I'm interested in these colour bottles. And he's like, what? What are you going on about? What are you going on about? But that was the level of it. He didn't get it. And I think it's more the fact that he wasn't being unpleasant about it. He just didn't get it. He still doesn't get it. It's okay that he doesn't get it. He's proud of me now because I've been successful doing this. But he still doesn't get it. Do I have to sit down and try and justify it to him? Show him the cards that I've created, show him my bottles, give a demonstration of channeling over Christmas dinner? No. I don't have to do any of that. Why would I be doing that anyway? Maybe there would be a bit of inner child. It's almost like, oh, look, Daddy, at what I can now do. Are you proud of your little girl? I don't need that anymore. Because although that little girl is within me, she's comfortable. Because she knows that the grown-up Amanda is comfortable in her own skin, is very linked into her own divinity and her path, and isn't swayed by it. I don't need validation. I suppose that's what I'm saying. I don't need the validation. So sometimes when we're worried about coming out of the closet, it's because we're seeking validation. We're wanting people to say, oh, it's okay, I get it. They're not all going to get it. And you have to get to a place where you're okay with them not getting it. And actually, if you're not okay with them not getting it, if you just really think about that, that feels like it's more ego, doesn't it? It feels more like it's an ego thing than a heart thing. Because if you're really in your heart space, the heart basically is expansive enough to know that there are many facets of the mirror, of the diamond. You don't get it. It's not your truth. That's fine. As long as you don't mock me, deride me, we're good. If you start mocking me and deriding me, well, again, that is sometimes much bigger than just about angels. That's probably also about how that person is viewing you generally as a human being. Maybe there are some principles and practices that need to come into play here, about, again, boundaries, standing up for yourself, speaking your truth, but never to the point of justifying what it is that justifying your belief. I've never done that. Let's have another question. Okay, Mary, you also say, just to clarify, I'm asking how to explain to people in the 3D about Archangel Metatron. When I ordered my deck, my husband was confused and asked me about it. I told my husband that some archangels were edited out, like Mary Magdalene, but I don't really know how to explain it properly. Well, I can only tell you my experience, guys. I'm married. I've never sat my husband down and right, I'm now going to explain to you, what this is, what I'm doing. He is respectful enough to me to allow me to be who I am. And in any relationship, whether it's a marriage, whether it's a friendship, whether it's parent and child, that is what you are striving for, to be around people that give you the space to be who you are. Again, part of the awakening path is about a deepening connection to who you really are. So yes, you're going to rock a few people's boats, okay? You're going to ruffle a few feathers. But I genuinely believe that any good relationship, which has basically got love at its core and support at its core, they're not going to point the finger of, you can't do that, you can't believe that, I don't get it. I mean, look at politics, for goodness sake. We're a day before the general election here in the UK. People are completely divided, probably similar to many other countries in the world. Are you going to fall out with people because they don't have the same political belief as you? Are you just going to, walk away? No, ultimately, we have to have tolerance. There has to be tolerance. If you don't have tolerance, especially with spirituality, what you get is fundamentalism, okay? I'm not saying that's linked into the comment I just read out. I'm just going off where the energy's taking me here, okay? So some of these questions that are coming in are actually linked into relationship dynamics, okay? They're not just about, coming clean about the angels. This is about coming clean, if that's the right expression, about who I am. Look at me. This is who I am. Is that okay with you, that I am who I am? And interestingly, I am is the expression of God, that I am who I am. Are you okay with that? If you're not, okay. That's sad if you're not okay with that, but I'm still going to be who I am. Is there a drifting away of certain people, friendships and acquaintances when you get on this path? Yes, there is. There can be. There doesn't have to be. Again, from my own experience, core people have not left me, no. I've certainly found out who my friends are, big time, okay? Maybe part of that comes from the position that I'm in, though, as well. I found out who my friends are. I know who my friends are. I've certainly let friendships go where I haven't got as much in common anymore. Okay, I haven't got as much in common with them. But it's never been, ruthless. It's never been about, I'm no longer going to ring you or see you. It's just been a natural drifting away. Because the thing is, say you've got a friendship and that person is completely and utterly stuck in the box with the lid on, with, tape over the box, and I'm just in the box and just keep me here and I don't want to see anything else. I don't want anything that I can't justify or that, hasn't got a rational explanation. I'm just in the box. I'm going to stay in the box for my life and that's fine. Okay, that's your friend. And then you're out of the box and you're exploring. Well, this person's going to, it's not just you drifting away. They're going to drift away from you as well. Like attracts like. Vibration attracts vibration. That's the truth of it. So what I have always done when I've known energetically when people are drifting away from me, there's never been any unpleasantness. It's just I let you go with love. What's that expression about friends for a season or a reason? And then there are, of course, the bedrock of people that are going to be with you through life. I've probably got 5 friends that will be with me completely through life and have been with me a long time. The thing is, they love me unconditionally. You'll have people like that, hopefully, in your life. If you haven't got people like that in your life, it's about like attracts like, remember? Vibration attracts vibration. So the more that you grow, where's the card? The more that you grow and stand in that field, okay, as the beautiful sunflower that you are, the more visible that you are, I don't know where the card's gone, then the more the other beautiful, tall, strong, strident plants are going to find you. Like attracts like. Okay, let's read a card. It's gone so dark. It's gone so dark. What's this about, Metatron? I mean, outside I'm talking. It's a funny old day energetically, and it is the 11th. 11 is always a gateway. 11's a portal. 11's a doorway every single month. Okay, he's wanting me just to say that rather than trying to get people who are still in 3D up to your level, which is the wrong attitude anyway, because they're not necessarily they're not in a worse state than you. That the path, life is a cycle, okay? It's a cycle, and the path is a cycle. It's not about being better or worse than anybody. It's just about different vibrations. But the person that's at 3D in the box with the lid on, with the tape over it, you know, with maybe one hole in it to breathe, it's getting dark in that box. It's getting dark in that box. So have compassion, actually, for the person that chooses to stay confined. But equally, please realise that it is their choice. And it isn't better or worse. But ultimately, would you want to go back in that box? I wouldn't. So I have compassion for anybody that wants to stay there. Let's have another question. Yeah, because Carol Newton, you say, what I would like to ask is, why is it when you awake, you tend to lose a lot of friends and family distance themselves from you? It can get very lonely. I will just say something about family. I mentioned this to one of you yesterday on email, which is that, again, you have to find some form of common ground. So, okay, I'll use my own life because it's the only way I can illustrate it. There are certainly some people in my family, I'm talking more distant relatives, but, you know, people that I love still, but, you know, they will never ask me about work. They can't go there. And I understand why they can't go there, because for them, they don't understand it. Why am I surprised that they don't understand it? They're not holding the same vibration that I'm holding. They're holding a different vibration. I don't really understand that existence in the box. Okay? So, you know, I don't understand that anymore, or I certainly wouldn't want to align to it, and they don't understand where I am either. So am I surprised that they don't ask me about my work or what I'm doing? No, I'm not. So what you have to do is you have to find some common ground elsewhere, okay? And there will be some common ground. It might not be as deep and as meaningful, but there will be some common ground, you know? But that's going to be unique to everybody in terms of what that common ground is. You know, whether it's an interest, it's a hobby, it's just past history, you know. It's also just about respect if it comes to families as well. I'm going to go to some YouTube questions now, of which there are about 120 that came in. Lucian, I think it says, thank you, Amanda, for bringing this topic up. Some of us, like myself, are aware but not yet awakened. For me, being an empath, I haven't been able to let go of the fear and the anxiety. Yet when I hear of portals opening and the full moon, retrograde energies getting higher, etc., it just adds to the overwhelm feeling that I'm not ready and missing the boat, as it were. I think for me, something like group meditations to help us release blocks and let go would help, and knowing that others are in the same boat. Okay. And bless you, because you say you feel that you're on the outskirts of the tribe watching in. Well, you're a very valuable member of the tribe. So, do you know what Metatron's showing me about somebody feeling as though they're on the outskirts of the tribe? He's shown me a group of penguins. And do you know what penguins do? They huddle together in a circle. And the ones on the outside are actually the very strong, resilient members who are protecting the inner core, okay? And the other beautiful thing about penguins is that the ones that are on the outer core change. So it's like a changing of the guard type energy. So if you're feeling as though you're on the outer side of the tribe, Metatron's showing me you're one of the ones that is actually helping hold and protect the inner core, okay? And so that is a very, very valuable place to be. It's a place of great strength. He's actually saying it's this. I drew this card the other day. It's the card of the warrior, okay? You are at one with the divine. You are the universe. It's the warrior energy, okay? You don't put your weakest members on the outer margins. You put your strong centurions, okay? And they're there doing a job. But again, in fifth dimensional energy, everybody is one. We are all linked. So nobody stays on the margins for very long. Somebody who's right in that huddle, you know, the penguins when they're right in the middle, the one that's really warm and cozy and has got a bit too comfortable, they sort of get kicked out and then they have to go on the outside, okay? So I love that analogy Metatron's just given. But your point here about, you know, am I missing the boat? whether it's 11:11, whether it's 12:12, whether it's a new moon, whether it's solstice, these portals. Am I missing the boat? You can't miss the boat. You can't miss the doorway. There is this illusion that the doorway is only open for 24 hours, okay? So for example, with 12:12, it's open for 24 hours. And my God, we better remember to do whatever we're meant to do, okay? And we better be present. And if we don't, oh, we've missed it, okay? Doesn't work like that. Doesn't work like that. God wouldn't design it like that, okay? Time is not linear, guys, okay? You can turn up to any portal at any time, asking Archangel Metatron, who is the master of time, the grand master of time, to be present with you. I mean, call in Metatron with you and just say, I want to walk through the 8/8 gateway of this year. I want to walk through the 2012 gateway, I missed that. Can I experience that, please? So one thing, the overwhelm is linked into time. Sorry, the battery went. What was I saying? God, I've gone totally blank. Hold on a minute. That's not very professional. Hi, sorry, camera died. What was I saying? I was saying about portals and time. There's plenty of time, basically. There's always time. You can go through them before, during, or after. That's actually the truth, okay? The point about going through them at the allotted time, so for example 12:12, is that you're doing it with a big group of people, okay, at a certain time. And there is truth, that there is power in numbers, okay? But as I say, don't get too fixated on it has to be a particular day. I also just felt there was a bit of symbolism. My camera always seems to die in terms of battery power or memory card being full at a moment, which is just totally appropriate. So it actually came up and it said memory card full. So I just had to go and clear a load of space. And that's the point. There is enough space for everybody, okay? I think it sort of stems from this old traditional way of religion, which is sort of like there's only enough room for the favoured few in heaven, I think, honestly, I think these fears are linked into that not everybody makes it. The truth is that when it comes to portals and gateways, anybody is invited, everybody is welcome, and all you basically have to have in your heart is a willingness to step into the heart and step into love. And if you're holding that vibration, the door is barred to none. That is the truth. Even if you have sinned, sinned being an old-fashioned word, I know, but it's none of us are perfect. It's about how you get up in the morning, the vibration that you're holding, and the fact that you're wanting to try to better yourself. And if you have that in your heart and you have the right intention, the gateway is always open, okay? I want to just go back before I move on to the next question, because I just had a break and had a cup of coffee, and I look back at my initial notes of what I was going to be talking about in this video. I want to go back to what I was saying about the analogy with the penguins. And we know that 2020, there's going to be many people waking up and joining the path. And when there is an upsurge of light, basically, and which is what will happen, then there is always resistance from lower energy that basically tries to spoil it, I'm just going to say spoil it. And so I think that analogy Metatron's just given us of, as a tribe, not huddling together in terms of I need you, in some sort of codependent way, but just grouping together as tribe and keeping each other warm and warmth is about staying in the heart space and realizing that the new people coming in need to be kept safe is what Metatron is saying. So I think as a tribe, it's about welcoming people in, and also for some of us that have been on the path a while, actually volunteering to be on that outer circle that sort of stands guard over newly awakened people who are vulnerable to the naysayers, you know, the naysayers, whether they're within your family, whether they're in wider society, or whether it's just sort of darker energy that is circulating in the collective, okay? So I think that's a really nice image to keep in our mind, that we're like this beautiful group of penguins who are protecting their own, and we're taking turns in terms of where we stand in that circle. I wonder what the meaning of penguin is, actually. I'm wondering whether it's in this deck of cards. Let's just have a quick look. I've no idea if it is. I think it is. If not, you can put it in the comments below. This is the Stephen Farmer deck. Yeah, it has penguin. The period of darkness that you've been experiencing is now passing. That's the card for penguin. So if you think about that, oh, you know the way penguins move? They're so sweet. It's like there's a lot of awakening souls who are going to be moving away from being in that box, being in the dark, basically. And who are wanting to join the, I don't know what, it's not a pride of penguins, I don't know what it is. I want to read the card that goes with penguin. Hold on, it feels important. You've endured hardships in your life, sometimes gracefully, sometimes awkwardly, yet they've taught you life lessons that have been invaluable in forming the person that you are today. These experiences have influenced the kind of personality and character you possess. However, the path you've taken has ultimately been influenced by the choices you've made in response to those experiences. This is especially true with your most recent cycle, one that has presented many challenges that you've dealt with successfully. That period of travail is passing, and whether or not you're aware of it, has contributed significantly to your spiritual growth. And the associations with the penguin is determination. This is almost like qualities for us as a tribe going into 2020. So the qualities that penguin is reminding us of are determination, focus, endurance, self-confidence, respect, gracefulness, agility, fluidity, etiquette, clarity, awareness, willingness, sturdiness, and intention. I'm going to repeat those because those qualities, it's almost as though, what is the awakening path all about? You know, what am I meant to be doing? How am I meant to be behaving? I think this is a pretty good checklist. It's about determination, focus, endurance, self-confidence, respect, gracefulness, agility, fluidity, etiquette, clarity, awareness, willingness, sturdiness, and intention. We will also say love, of course. Love, love, love. Okay. Anything else I wanted to say? Yeah, I also wanted to mention, before we go to the next question, that with souls waking up, you're not joining a path that is linear, okay? With the leader at the top and you're straggling around like penguins, and they're waddling to try and keep up. No, okay? You join a circle. You join a circle. And what I've written down here is that teachers of that circle are actually the stewards, okay? We are stewards that help people around the circle of life, okay? Anything else to say? The other thing I've written down is just that I am noticing that this growing tribe is, it goes without saying, but actually it needs to be said sometimes, it is all around the world. I mean, I'm blessed because I have a big following now, and so I can see where the comments are coming in from, and they are coming in from everywhere, okay? From Russia, I had a wonderful donation from somebody in Russia recently. Vladimir, thank you if you're watching this. Spain, all of Europe, America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, India, that we are everywhere, okay? So I just think it's a wonderful time to be alive, actually. Right, let's go back to some other questions. Let's see what comes up next. Oh, yeah, I will just say one thing here. Just picking up again, finishing off that last comment about other people's reactions to our belief. Karen Fleet, as I had an amazing awakening experience, I thought to act on the divine messages that kept streaming for weeks. And then I shared them with my husband and children, and they freaked out and thought I was literally crazy, trying to admit me into a psychiatric ward. This caused extreme trauma. Any suggestions on how to handle the awakening process, Amanda? Thank you very much. Love and blessings to you and your family. Well, that is a very, very extreme case, and sending you a big hug, Karen. The truth is that to people that are within the box and that are closed, okay, take it away from your scenario, but let's just talk generally here. People who are in the box, they are going... To them, it does sound like madness, okay? Because you basically are speaking a completely and utterly different language. Remember what I said, you need to find common ground. Now, again, I'm going to give you an example from my own life just to illustrate what I'm trying to say here. My work is very varied and multifaceted. There are aspects of my work, for example, that I could maybe share if I wanted to with family members. There are other aspects of my work which I haven't necessarily shouted from the rooftops that I'm doing. Again, this is not from a position of fear and in terms of what would they think, okay? It's more just, actually it's about respect, that I know, basically I know that for somebody really in the box with the lid on, it's not just that they're not going to get it, they would potentially freak out a little bit. And why would I do that to somebody that actually I love, who is a perfect human being and a divine expression, but for them, where they are at the moment, they haven't got the apparatus to understand what I would be saying. It particularly comes in, probably linked into the channeling work that I've done. So, and I have a sense of humour with all of this. It's very important to keep a sense of humour. So, for example, Elvis Presley, that seemed to be the one for me when I channeled Elvis. And maybe it's just because people sort of make jokes about Elvis, you know, being down the chip shop and, you know, still being alive and all that type of stuff. And I don't know, that might be a British thing, but, you know, there's this thing about Elvis being down the chip shop, and it's all very tabloid and very stupid. And anyway, the first time I channeled Elvis Presley, which was the most beautiful experience, my God, what an amazing being he is. I'm bringing him back, by the way. 8th of January is his birthday, I believe, with David Bowie, and we're going to be doing a joint channeling with Elvis and David. But anyway, that's by the by. I channeled Elvis Presley, and then I sort of went down and made dinner, and I thought, okay, what do I say? You know, do I have to say anything? And I realised that, did I have to sit round the dinner table and say, well, I've just been doing this. I've just been talking to Elvis Presley up in my room, and he said this, and then he said that, and then this happened. Why would I feel the need to have to do that anyway? When I have the opportunity to talk to people like you online who completely get it anyway. Do we have to reveal every single aspect of who we are to every single person we know? I don't think we do, personally. So, and it's a bit like, in the same scenario, take it away from spirituality, Metatron's given the analogy of something like football or soccer. You know, say you're living with somebody who's an avid supporter, you know, of Arsenal, and it's like they want you to hear every single detail of the match, and, you know, who's on the team and, you know, who isn't on the team and what's happening with the manager. And it's like, are you interested? No, not at all, because it's not what you're about. Arsenal aren't in your blood, you know, and I'm not being facetious there. For some people, football is in their blood. Great. I think sport is a wonderful thing. For me, football, unless it's watching England, and they've done quite well, bores me rigid. It's just not my thing. I wouldn't want to hear all about it. So why assume that what interests me in terms of, I've just been talking to Elvis Presley, really interests somebody else who's sitting around the dinner table, unless they are of the same vibration and they've made it clear that they want to hear that type of stuff, you know? Does that help? I hope it helps. what I'm basically trying to say is that I don't feel the need to have to keep going on and on and on about whether it's channeling Elvis Presley, Mary Magdalene, Christ, the angels, or anything. I talk to those I know are interested, which includes you if you're listening to this. But do I, drop into the conversation, I've just done this to the neighbour next door? No, don't need to. Why do I need to do that? Think about why you need to do it. And usually it comes down to some form of validation that you're seeking from an external source. Find the common ground. They don't have to know the ins and outs of everything. Metatron's showing me this image here of women are going to get this. Or some men carry handbags now as well. But I've always got a handbag, and it's a bit like the TARDIS. You put things in it and you forget they're in there, and then occasionally I change my bag and I shake it on the bed, and all the old polos fly out, and Tic Tacs, and it's clean. My handbag is clean, but it's usually full of a whole load of clutter, and then I have to really shake it like that, and it's like, and then you see what's in there. And that's what Metatron's saying. He's saying, does everybody have to know absolutely everything about you, that's within you? No, they don't. Right, let's go to a question. Let's have two more. People are asking about, can I do a video on the crystal children? Yes, I can, but not on this one. Let's see who else we've got. Okay, there's a question here from Julie Ann. I guess I'm still in the early stages and don't seem to hear the answers. Besides meditation, how can we fine-tune our own abilities to hear our guides and angels? So besides meditation, how can we fine-tune our own abilities to hear our guides and angels? There's a few things I want to say to that. The first thing I want to say is, are we good at actually clearing away the clutter from our own mind, okay? And our own life, actually, as well. I'm a big believer in Feng Shui. So, I'm no expert in it, but I just do it instinctively. So before I made this video, for example, I had to clear my desk down, I had to clear the room. I couldn't do it in a really cluttered environment. It had to feel right. It's the same with when you're trying to connect to the angels or channel. If there's a lot of clutter around you or within you, it's going to be much harder to hear any message. And it was interesting, yesterday I had an appointment at a herbalist, and it was more just sort of like a yearly energy check-in with this guy. And so he was going through, what the issues are with me, and like everybody, I've got stuff to work on. And for me, I've said many times, probably it links more into solar plexus type energy, not in terms of claiming my power and my confidence, but in terms of my diet. Okay, so diet, which also comes into solar plexus energy, and he was sort of just linking the energy of the solar plexus to the energy of diet, and in terms of, it's obvious, isn't it? But if you're obviously eating badly, or you're drinking too much, or you're putting things into your body that are not high vibration, then of course that's going to affect the quality of the messages that you receive from spirit. It's obvious, really, isn't it? So I would also bring that into it as well, that it's about having a clean temple. Your body is the temple. And there are reasons why we overeat. There are reasons why we drink. There are reasons why we smoke. It's very complex. There are many emotional issues in terms of why we do things. But the truth is that I think going into 2020, we're increasingly going to be asked to clean up our act within, okay? And I'm going to be doing that as well. I'm going to be on that path with you. That's part of the path for me next year as well. Because to hear and to connect to spirit, it's about having as clean a vessel as possible within. It's about having a clear space. It's about having a clear mind. Well, obviously meditation can help with that. I also am hearing it's about having a regular practice as well, though, because so often, people will come to me and they'll say, oh, but I do this, I meditate, I do this. And then when you actually say, okay, well, when was the last time you did it? Or how regularly do you do it? And I'm not judging people here because I know, life is busy, but actually the practice isn't that regular. I'm being shown here a Buddhist monk, okay? I'm being shown a Buddhist, or just the energy of Buddhist monks with their beautiful orange robes. But, you could go into other faiths and other religions as well. But I'm being shown the dedication and the commitment to their path, and within that there is structure, there is discipline. We live in a world which doesn't like the word discipline very much. It's sort of like has connotations of particularly if you've got a slightly free spirit, as I have. It's like, oh no, I don't want to be structured, don't put me back in a box. But yet there does need to be some structure that comes into our practice as well. So it's sort of like, well, how regularly are you trying to connect? When are you trying to connect? In the past, I used to try and meditate or connect to the angels, usually last thing at night when I'm really tired. What happens? You go straight to sleep. Nothing happens at all. So it's about creating a time and a space for that connection. It doesn't have to be meditation. It can be walking outside. It can be, everything is an expression of God at the end of the day. And, the angels are always present. They're always wanting to help. But it's about pulling them in. How often are we actually really, truly calling for their help other than times of crisis? Are we trying to communicate? And communication is a two-way thing as well. It's very much a two-way thing. So it's about talking. Particularly for me, it's usually an internal dialogue that's going on that I have with Metatron. But then I've also got to be open to hear and to listen. Journaling is another good way as well that I personally endorse as well. Obviously, I'm not just saying it, but I've made sprays. I've got 40 sprays here that we sell now, and the reason why I made them was to try and help bring the angelic energy into our energy fields. They are a tool to help us connect. So I've got some sitting here which I'm looking at right in front of me. So let's just bring in, as it's linking into Christmas time, let's just bring in the energy of Mother Mary. Okay, so this is the Mother Mary spray. So with this one, no, you don't need the spray to connect to Mother Mary. You don't need a crystal to connect to Mother Mary. You don't need anything. But the thing is, tools can sometimes help you. And if you need a help with that, then go for it. And equally, even if you don't need the help, I find that they deepen the connection. Okay, so just spray Mary as an example. The thing about when you've sprayed as well, it's about just being still. So let's just have a moment of stillness just to connect to Mary's energy. For you to connect to Mary's energy. Not for me to do it for you to do it. Just feel the energy of Mary coming through. The other thing that happens, I know a lot of you felt that, another thing that happens a lot is that when you try and connect, I could feel some of you were doing it. I'm not judging you, I could just feel it. It's like, yeah, come on then. What's she saying? What's she saying? It's because our mind is always racing 9 to the dozen. Okay, so it is about breathing. It is about being still. It's about being present. It's about creating the space. It's also about allowing a moment of connection where sometimes there is just silence. Why are we always expecting that they've got to come in with the most amazing pearl of wisdom and golden nugget? Maybe they just want to sit with you and comfort you. Maybe they just want to be with you. Maybe she just wants to give you a comforting hug right now. But again, it's this energy it's this world rather that we're up against, which is results driven, It's results driven. I had somebody who did one of my courses and complained, within a month that they couldn't hear Metatron in the way that I can hear Metatron. And it was sad in many ways. But what I basically said is that I've been doing this since 2005. Okay, a daily practice. I'm nowhere near perfect. hopefully by the end of 2020, I will have a much better connection than I do sitting here right now. The path is never ending. The connection is ever deepening. But, you know, it's like anything. It's a skill that gets honed over hours, days, weeks, months of practice. But within that practice, there are going to be times where you just have to sit and allow. Okay, it's not always just about give me, give me, give me. Sometimes that's our energy. It's like, okay, what are you going to say to me? What's the message? Maybe they just want to sit and be with you, be present with you, allow their energy to integrate with you. Okay, let's have one more question. Oh, that's nice, Melanie. Lucky are the newbies who follow your light, dearest lady. And you too, Melanie. She's one of my new teachers in Canada. Give a shout out. Melanie Mayon Radford. Brilliant. Right, let's go for another question. Can crystals really help us? They're beautiful, and I try to believe they are helping me in their specific ways, but I don't feel anything from any of them. I don't know why. Do you know, I mean, yes, crystals are, I love crystals, and again, they might be a tool. Not all tools are for everybody. Just because people say, oh, you know, you've got to get crystals and work with crystals, doesn't mean that you have to. In the same way you don't have to work with sprays. You don't have to work with affirmations. There are many different, remember what I said about, it's about getting out of the box. It's not about you should be doing anything. Having said that, personally, I would always endorse having at least some master crystals in your home, particularly clear quartz, particularly rose quartz, some grounding crystals such as carnelian. But, you know, I mean, you're talking to somebody here who's got hundreds of crystals around her. And I'm also wanting to say within, okay, because we have a crystalline body. The more that you are able to link into your crystalline energy, which is about working with light, it is about working with colour, it is about ascending, it is just about keeping on with this path. I feel that the more that crystals start to speak to you. What else was I going to say though about that? Sorry, where's the question from? Can they help us? Don't feel anything from them. Do you know, there's one crystal that everyone goes on and on about, which is moldavite. And the first time I got moldavite, almost sort of came with a bit of a warning in terms of, you know, be really careful with this crystal because it's going to blow your mind. I felt absolutely nothing. And in fact, every time I pick up moldavite, it doesn't do anything for me. Now, I could sit here and I could scratch my head and think, well, why not? Why am I not getting it? It doesn't matter. It's not my crystal. There are plenty of other crystals that I've got, which I can pick up. Got one here. And I can be like, oh, wow. This, I feel this. So again, I think it's less about, you know, you've got to go out and get these 5 crystals. I still think quartz and rose quartz are pretty essential. But anyway, I can't help but say that. But no, it's not about these are the 10 crystals that you've got to get. It's about going to a crystal shop and which is the one that calls to you? Which is the one that you can't take your eye off? Which is the one that you go home and you think, damn, I wish I bought that. Go back and get it. That's the crystal you're meant to work with. And also, you know, huge subject crystals. I could do a whole video on it. But the point is that also sometimes crystals can lie dormant in terms of their energy. I've had that before. I've bought a crystal and it hasn't resonated, but then suddenly it's like it wakes up, probably as I'm waking up to the level that I'm resonating with it. Remember, like attracts like. But also the other thing Metatron's saying to me, and I don't know whether this applies to you, who's Shannon that asked that question, but remember as well, crystals can get very laden down with energy. So sometimes when we're not feeling them, it can actually be because they need a damn good cleanse, okay? Put them out in moonlight, sunlight, assuming it's safe. Wash them with water, unless they are water soluble. My rule is that any crystal ending in ite, I-T-E, I don't put in water because they tend to be water soluble. I tend to cleanse mine in moonlight if it's not pouring with rain, or smudge them. But you know, put them on a Flower of Life grid. I've got one here. I've shown you my Flower of Life grid many times. You know, putting them onto a grid also can help. This is bismuth, and that one is titanium flame aura. And the reason these two are sitting here is because in January we are launching the Ashtar Spray, the galactic energy. And so I have got, I'll give you a little sneak preview. That's the Ashtar Spray. And he's been sitting on the flower of life with those two crystals that are within the bottle, and also my star being head. And it's like, that's programmed. Those crystals know exactly what they're doing. They're holding the template for the new spray for when it launches. But yeah, Metatron's saying sometimes when crystals, it's like I'm not getting anything. They might need a good cleanse, okay, and to be reprogrammed. Well, you know, when I hold this smoky quartz, have I told the smoky quartz what I'm hoping it's going to help me with? I have actually. You know, this is one to help keep my space clear. It's always on my desk. But you know, unless you've told it that, does it know that that's its job? So there are many facets of working with crystals. And I may very well do another video on that, or indeed even an online course, if that would be helpful for people who are waking up. When I first started this path over a decade ago now, I used to run Introduction to Angels, Introduction to Crystal courses, and I haven't done them for years because I thought, well, it's all out there on the internet, which it probably is, to be honest, or you can go into a bookshop and buy a book and what I'm going to say is probably in there. But sometimes people do like to hear it from a teacher, you know, because there is a vibration that goes with that. So if there's a need for that, I can do that. So one more question. Oh gosh, there's 105 questions here. I just don't know which one to pick. John Denver. A few of you want me to channel John Denver. Okay. Right, I'm going to end with this one from Robert Lamont. How can we manifest direct communication with our guides, higher selves? It's sort of linked to what I've just been saying. Backstory, I was clairaudient in childhood, and I would occasionally see things that frightened me and asked to have that vision taken away. I think I eventually asked to not hear things as well. About 18 years ago, Sai Baba appeared to me. I didn't know who he was until a few months ago when I came across a photo of him. It frightened me as I had a spiritual vision in childhood. So in a nutshell, what you're saying, Robert, is that you used to have clear sight and being able to hear and see spirit as a child, and then probably it got shut down, and you are now feeling that communications are resuming. You're not afraid anymore, but you do not know how to engage more fully or for the highest good of all. Okay, so right, let's ask Metatron about that then. I'm going to use my spray at this point. So shutting down our clairaudient and clairvoyant abilities in childhood, because often that happens also. It's not just because we have been a little bit frightened of it. It can also be that our parents or guardians are frightened by it. And so they tell us, don't be silly, you know, there isn't anything there, you know, you're just imagining it. You know, that didn't really happen. And so we start to question and we close down. So I suspect that a lot of people that are waking up now may well remember a time in the past when they used to see spirit, or they used to hear spirit, or something happened in childhood. The first thing I'm wanting to say is that it's okay to almost like reclaim those memories, to start to recognize that you have always been a spiritual being, is what Metatron is saying. Okay, it's not like you just suddenly become a spiritual being when you are awoken. You are a spiritual being even when you are not awake, and you also are a spiritual being when you are a little baby, and you're a spiritual being when you are an old person, you know, about to pass over. So it's about, what that is really saying to me more than anything, Robert, is bringing up energies of safety. Is it safe to open up? Is it safe to communicate? Is it safe to see? I believe that spirit usually won't show you something or won't reveal themselves to you unless they know that you're ready or indeed you've asked for it. And I've mentioned this quite a few times already, this little story, but I will just put it on here very, very quickly. Years ago, when I was trying to develop my clairvoyance, I used to say to Spirit quite repetitively, show me, show me, show me. I want to see you. And then one night, I woke up about 1 o'clock and there was a hooded figure standing over me. And I nearly had a heart attack. The duvet went over my head. I was completely and utterly petrified. And I put the light on. Woke up in the morning. I realised it was Mother Mary, you know. And I thought, damn, why did I do that? I've been asking to see. Why was I so frightened, for want of a better word? And the words came back was because you were not quite ready to see. You know, seeing spirit comes with a lot of responsibility. And, you know, spirit is just the most amazing thing to see with your own eyes, or to feel with your senses, or to hear. And you've got to really ask yourself, are you ready for that? And sometimes it's like the ego jumps in and says, yes, yes, I'm ready. But again, the ego sometimes says that because it's almost like they're wanting the proof. They're wanting the validation. It's never the heart that's saying, yes, 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 you know? So spirit will show itself when you're ready. You will hear spirit when you are ready. And there goes Bella. You'll hear spirit when you are ready. She's just confirming that. And not before. The thing with children is they sort of are ready, but we're living in a world and a society which sort of doesn't want children to necessarily fully own all their spiritual powers. And I'm not meaning to get all sort of heavy and negative here, but it's what I truly believe. The old paradigm has been the suppression of our divine light and our innate sense of spirituality and connection to God. And it's like, no, you go back in that box. You can't be out of the box. You go back in that box. The child comes in and is just fully awake and knowing, you know, and interested. But again, as I say, it can easily be sort of squashed out of them by somebody that says, no, that's not right, or no, you're not seeing it. And indeed, often the child, even if nothing's been said, they realise that other people aren't seeing what they can see. And so they shut themselves down. Okay, I'm just going to wrap up here actually because my battery is just died again. I just want to finish off answering Robert. In a nutshell, what you're asking me is you don't know how to engage more fully for the highest good of all. So for me, I've seen plenty of people online and in general practice who invite spirit in, but don't put any protection around them, okay? So I've done videos on, for example, the armour of God. They are available to watch on my channel. Putting on the armour of God, I think, is very important. Calling in Archangel Metatron or the guide that you work with. But for me, Metatron, remember he's known as the Lesser Yahweh, the one who sits beside the Godhead, you know, is a very, very powerful energy. And I would never, ever open up to any work, any channeling, any healing unless I called Metatron in directly and I knew he was there. And if you call him in, he will be there. Even if you can't feel it, he will be there. And then you ask for the highest guidance, insight, energy, information that you are privy to, that you are able to handle, that is for the highest good for yourself and for the collective. It obviously depends what you're about to do. And as long as your protection is around you, and as long as you've got Metatron standing there with you, you are not going to be you're not going to be opening up to anything that is dangerous or challenging or in any way difficult for you to assimilate. The angels know what you're ready for. Metatron knows what you're ready for because he knows you. He is the guardian of the Akashic records. He knows everything that you've been, everything that you were. He knows what you were as a child. He knows what the experiences that you had as a child in terms of opening up. He knows what you're ready for. Remember, this journey is circular, not linear. So, and also remember that it's about taking the time that you need. Don't rush it. Don't force it. Don't it develops over time. It develops over time. Better connection with your guides, with your angels, develops over time through practice, through dedication, through working with the heart. And the other thing I want to say is through living it. It's not just about opening up when I want a message or opening up when I'm doing a healing or a video. It's about living it 24/7 as much as you can. So it's about being in alignment 24/7 as much as you can, not just about being in alignment when I'm sitting down to meditate. It's about being in alignment in your life. Okay, right, really conscious the battery is going to die and I want to get this video up for 12:12. I'm going to pull a card very quickly for the 12:12 energy, and I'm sending you lots and lots of love. I'll do another one of these videos. I'm sure there are plenty of other questions, certainly ones that I haven't covered today. But anyway, let's just have a card for tomorrow or today if you're watching this on 12/12. And if you're watching it in a year's time, you know, in July, brilliant. Remember, portals, doors never shut, okay? And there's enough space for everybody. Right, 12:12 Metatron, let's give me a card, please. Oh, I can't believe it. Right, 12:12. Okay, maybe there's a wake-up call. No, I think this is like a lot of people are going to be waking up on 12:12. That's what the message, okay? There's a lot of people waking up on 12:12. Remember to be like the penguins, okay? Remember, we are in this group. We're welcoming people into the warmth of the tribe, okay? And what it's all about is welcoming in this new dawn. I can't believe that. Well, I can. Of course I can believe that card came up. Signs, you see. It's like, thank you, Metatron. We've been talking about this all the time. It's like we started with wake up call and we're ending with wake up call. 12:12, it's a wake up call for the earth. It's a wake up call for humanity. There are many that are going to be waking up. And why? It's because a new dawn needs to come in for the world. Welcome anybody that's new. Welcome anybody that's been here a while. Let's just all extend warmth and love to each other. And until I see you next, from my heart to yours, much love. Bye-bye.